My name is Julia Farley and I'm the curator of the British and European Iron Age collections here at the British Museum. The Witham Shield is probably my favourite object in the British Museum's Iron Age collections. The shield was probably made around about 300 to 200 BC, so it's over 2,000 years old. Now this is actually the metal facing from what would originally have been a wooden shield. It's quite tall, it's over 1 metre high, and this particular object was dredged up from the River Witham near Lincoln in 1827. And it's the long time that it's spent in the river that accounts for a lot of the damage, the kind of crinkling that you can see on the surface of the shield there. The metal that you can see is very, very thin, and so what looks like one continuous sheet of metal is actually two joining sheets bridged by that spine that runs down the middle. So the spine running down the middle is decorative, but you'll see that in the centre is sticking out what we call a boss of the shield, and that's where the hand of the person wielding the shield would have held the handle. One of the fabulous things about Celtic art is that Celtic art objects have hidden in them lots of interesting creatures and faces and beasts. And the longer you spend looking at an object like the Witham Shield, the more of these creatures you will see. So if we look first of all at the boss which is at the top of the shield, we can see around the central dome there are incised lines which mark out these swirling forms. And at first glance, this just looks very abstract, sinuous, but if you look more closely, you can start to pick out what look like motifs that might suggest wings or webbed feet or even little birds' heads. Based on comparison with other objects, we think that these designs are intended to suggest birds, perhaps water birds like swans, with their wings thrown back over their shoulders and webbed feet curling around. If you look down below that top boss, we see, much easier to see, a face staring out at us. Now, this is the face of a cow probably, or a horse, and you'll see two big bulbous staring eyes, and then fanning out on either side, little fluffing ears, a narrow snout coming down to two flaring nostrils. It's clearly suggesting the face of an animal, but it's not a naturalistic depiction. They're choosing to use a few very clean, simple lines to suggest the idea of a cow or a bull. The last animal that we can see on the shield is the boar. And this is the hardest one to see. When the shield was first made, the designer chose to put the outline of a fabulous boar with elongated legs arching over and around that central boss where the handle would go. They depicted that boar in a different kind of material. We don't know precisely what it was, perhaps a thinner piece of metal or something organic like leather. And that outline was riveted onto the shield, probably using metal pins like the ones which hold the central spine on still. All of that is now lost, but what we can still see are just the faintest outline and the little rivets which once affixed that boar plaque onto the shield. So I normally start down at the bottom right-hand end, because that is where we see the clearest little holes. And that's where we can see the tips of the toes of the boar. And if you follow then up the right-hand side of the shield, you can see those turning into long, straight legs. And then the point where they turn off a little bit to the left, and we come up into the haunches of the boar, and its tail curling down. And then its back arching all the way over the top of the boss, passing under the spine. And on the other side, on the left-hand side of the spine, the boar continues. We see those little rivet holes and that edging picking out its little face and snout and ears, and then coming down again into two really long, elongated legs that carry on down the front and end into little swirling toes again at the bottom. And for me, there's something that's actually very modern about using this kind of elongated form to just suggest the idea of a boar to the viewer. We don't know exactly what these different animals meant to the people who used the shield. It's possible they were particular kind of family or clan emblems that might have had a particular significance for the people who owned and wielded this shield in battle. Or it's possible they were chosen for a magical significance that wasn't restricted to a particular family, but was about the symbolism of those animals in daily life in the Iron Age. If you'd like to find out more about objects from the British Museum, subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more videos like this.